I like on the last episode, like if you listen to it, I think it was the last episode. It's like Akil is saying something really stupid and he hits record, and like he records Akil like saying something ridiculous like right before the intro, and I was like, yeah, I love that.
All right, here we go.
I love it.
It sounds like something you did.
Was Booze trying to get a?
What's up?
Who cares?
All right, guys, we're officially recording. What up, though? Silencio. Welcome to the 7th episode of the High Vibe Guys. I was thinking outside earlier. I won't do the numbers anymore when we get to 10. I will stop announcing which episode this is.
Hey, man, 10's a milestone.
Yeah,
10's a milestone, right?
There are, so depending on which stat you listen to, either 60 or to 65% of all podcasts that launch never make it to a 10th episode.
What?
Oh, we gonna be there.
Oh man!
Yeah.
So
We
we're like
gonna be
legendary status, kind of.
So I mean, that's,
basically.
so I mean, you look at
Be
like
there.
again, you look at stats. There was something like 230,000 podcasts that launched last year.
Wow.
But when we started ours in 2013, there weren't 230,000 out. But the flip side of that is that 60 to 65% of those never make it to a 10th episode and then they die. You know, so it's a thing.
So we're almost there. So next week could be when we cross that new milestone. So you got your boy Big Booze in the building. You got the self-proclaimed King B, Asa Bay the Scholar.
Describe what exactly do you mean by King B?
That's what you call yourself at work all the time.
I call myself that.
I'm the King B around here. It's like,
I've never heard him say
I've
that.
never said that in my life.
But I've heard. I know a guy who calls him the King B, and Asa hates it, so therefore I call him the King B.
Got you.
And then
Get into my skin, why don't you?
we have the other.
That's all we got for Asa, man? Just the King B?
Well, go ahead and add on.
God, bro.
This
So
is-
lazy, bro.
You are right.
The first Avenger? Huh? Asa's like the first Avenger? First Black Avenger?
I guess because he's dressed in the Marvel. That's where you got that from.
That's where I got that.
Where
okay.
that camera at? You see,
It's
you
no, it's
see
right
the
here in front.
muscles?
It's right here.
You see me?
And I'm going
Sight.
other host of the show, who also celebrated a birthday yesterday. Give it
Yeah,
up,
Bong,
buddy.
bong.
bong bong.
Bong, bong,
That hot
bong.
22.
I better say Asian backwards. Asa, wait, Akil, that's your name. My bad, bro. I forgot. Asa is like more important than you, so it's like easy to. Hey,
He's going to announce Asa twice.
oh God. I mean,
Yo.
yeah, we might as well.
Yo. I don't think it's just 3 of us in the room.
Oh.
Or 4.
Oh, no.
Because Dave is here too.
The most important person is
The Brady.
say the best for last.
How y'all want to do this? I think we should do a drum roll first. We got our first guest ever on the hottest podcast out.
Bong,
The
bong.
High Five Guys
Bong, bong.
presents the world's first high vibe gal, the one and
gang.
only, the holy moly, Ada, Rada, the Queen, spelled Qwain, all that in the bag of chips, Erykah Badu, who / one of the hottest chefs out. Man, have y'all had her food before? Her food is flexing on
I don't think I have.
Whoosh, let me finish my sentence, bro.
You asked
So-
the question.
Every restaurant I have ever been to has to take like 4th place to her. Like, you know, I'm just making this.
She
shit
got
up.
the
Like,
first
boy,
3 spots.
What?
That's what I'm talking
Boy.
about. I didn't hear Booze flex on her food before, but I've never had it.
Bruh, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Anyways, all these intros and stuff.
And she got some of the flyest hair
Bruh,
I've
what?
ever seen in my entire
Yeah.
41 years of life.
You were 22.
22 years of life. I'm 41.
All right.
God damn.
Say her name.
That's like 10
said-
more numbers than.
He said,
Yeah.
Ada,
Do we
Ada.
hold on? Do we say the government or do you want just
Nah,
all the
look,
magical?
nah, come on now.
Yeah, we don't
We don't do that.
We don't play on
We
the
do not do
government's
that
game.
here. We don't do that
We
here.
don't do
I've
that.
known,
My bad.
I've known Ida through at least 3 names, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't got to say mother.
I can't remember. I can't
We
remember.
just
Yeah,
gonna
right?
do.
I can't remember who I met you as now. I don't know. You know what? I do remember right before I met you how I recognized you was because you had like no hair and like
Yeah.
you had like I don't know something scribed in your head. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, that's an interesting looking person over there.
Was it a thunderbolt?
No,
Or
no,
Africa?
no. It was Metanetrics or something on the side of her head or something crazy. Right? It was something.
Metanetrics.
Say, well, come on.
Say it one more time.
Matrix.
I'm trying.
One more time for the radio.
Oh, God. the people who I'm saying it for don't
This
know what
fool-
it is. So
Metametrics.
it sounded
This
right.
fool combined metal and
The
hieroglyphics.
Matrix.
Oh my God.
She had metaglyphics. What?
For those listening not familiar, just it's pronounced Meduneter or
Metaneter.
right, or you can look up
Hieroglyphs, though.
Mother Nature.
That's what I mean. That's
exactly.
What the most time
yeah,
we call
that's where you get the
hieroglyphs.
word nature. That's where you get the word natural.
Yeah.
And right now we have one of the most supreme feminine forms on the planet right now. Blessed in the city. Everybody that know her says the same thing.
Yeah,
They
facts.
say she like a human fairy. They
Big
say she
facts.
magical.
Yeah.
They
Big
say, "Oh
facts.
my God, I wish I was like her."
Big
oh my,
facts.
you know.
She has a
But-
following
Yeah.
without trying. You know, like she's like what a lot of people try to push for in society nowadays, where they had this following of people. And I think like you naturally have that just because that's your aura. That's what you gravitate. Well, that's what you pull towards you. And I've seen it with multiple people, men and women at this point. I've seen it with a lot of guys who were my good friends. And you are just a strong energy, positive, always growing, always humble to like an extreme, and one of the coolest people I ever met in my life by far. So it's
kinda
great to have
cool.
you in the room.
Thank y'all.
You kind of
Oh,
cool.
my goodness.
Chia.
Kind of cool.
Chia.
So we
Cheer.
normally kick it off with a conversation about what's going on in society.
There's only one thing going on in society, man.
Well, it's two things. God. Well, it's two things. We're gonna split it up.
My birthday residue.
Oh yeah, it's three things. It was your birthday yesterday,
It's your birthday.
right?
It's your
Bong.
birthday.
It's your birthday.
When I die, bury me inside the. It's not the
No.
kid
What?
show.
It's not a
It's
kid
not a
show.
kid
It's not
show.
a
We
kid
talk.
show.
We talk.
That's his boy.
But it's not.
High vibrations.
It's not a mediocre freestyle show either.
That was 2 Chainz.
Oh, that was two
That was
chains.
2 years.
Oh yeah.
Damn, my
That
bad.
was-
But you know
birthday
what's
song.
funny is like when I first heard 2 Chainz, I was like, this dude is terrible.
I said the same thing.
I said,
bro.
this guy's garbage. How is he? And then after a
Love
while, I was
2
like,
Chainz,
after a
bro.
while, it's like you can't. You
God.
gotta love him.
He catchy. He funny.
It's
He
it's
talented.
a vibe.
It is a vibe.
It ain't cause
It
it ain't cause he like when I listen to him, I'm like, yo, I just learned something.
I wish a nigga would like a kitchen cabinet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There
It's
you go.
the flow. He has such a catchy flow that
Catchy
you find yourself like once
In
you
the rhythm.
once you memorize the words, you just walking around like
Really? Okay.
Touch the door, man. Daily caught the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
He'd say something like that.
yep.
I'm going to school myself later.
He-
Okay.
yeah,
All
he-
right.
You got to be in the mood for 2 Chainz. It's not like walking music or something like that. It's like you're trying to get hype or something like that. Put on some 2 Chainz.
And then he just make you laugh, bro.
He-
Man, he be so
2
funny.
chains. Yeah,
But I
bitch.
got 10 now.
Eat
Yo,
your
Ratchet.
girl with my necklace. Call it food chain.
Dog, if you want
Like,
to tap
what?
into your ratchet ish, that's yeah.
Gotcha.
For sure, for
Ada
sure.
doesn't touch that.
She said,
well.
"I
Like,
don't touch into my ratchet.
I don't go in
My
that
ratchet stays in its closet."
Yeah. I don't. She said, I don't know if I want to do the show anymore. Stop judging us. God,
Never.
we paid for this time to feel good. Wanted it. All right, so we're gonna hop into the coronavirus. And Ada, I know you as a holistic practitioner or somebody who's definitely been along that path, right?
One of the best. Just want to slide that up in there.
What are your thoughts on this as it unfolds? Because like every day it's a bigger thing. We talked about it on the show before, once or twice at this point, and it'd be nice to get a fresh perspective, especially for somebody who doesn't necessarily overly invest in the medical system and has their own outside view on things. What do you think?
Wow. Well, 2 things I'm thinking now. You know
Two
what?
things.
2 things.
Two things.
Thanks. As it unfolds is one, of course, looking at the financial impact that it's having and
Yeah.
seeing where the strings are being pulled in that regard.
Oh.
Basically to keep myself, my family in check in terms of like panicking ahead of time or, just looking at the world, looking at history and how things just like this have occurred before recently.
When?
In the last 100 years, you got your SARS, your mad cow, all of these things, Ebola not too long ago. And just remembering what was the trajectory then. So, of course, keeping the pantry stocked, having food and supplies in case, but we should be doing that all the time. But having those things in stock to be prepared for not necessarily a great plague, but just the public fallout that may happen because when people panic, other people panic, and then other people panic, and that kind of thing. But in terms of the health consequences of it, we know it's a upper respiratory disease or condition. It's viral. And so just thinking of a virus as a virus, not a special virus, but looking at all viruses as one and then building from there, So when I look at a virus, I'm looking at antivirals that are naturally occurring, on the planet, in the garden. So your elderberry, your chaga, things of that nature, and really just having those things ready, keeping myself fresh with the produce, the water, being hydrated. But that's it, and encouraging the people around me to do the same.
I like your perspective though.
Just bullshit.
Let me give you a little.
Can we
advice,
replace booze with Ada?
Hey.
Let me give you a look. They are going to talk over you every time you start to say a sentence. And yes, this is the most important part. He's going to pop in. Most importantly, it's like, okay, this is how this is going to go today, huh? These guys are excited, huh?
Sweet.
Only one her.
But I like how you are taking a very calm demeanor and approach to it. As I was talking to my moms about it this morning, and I was like, yo, don't do anything. You're over 65. Pretty much go to bed and wake up and repeat. And because I haven't been panicked about it until I was like, yo, the only people who are really dying from this are like older people. And I was like, man, my mom's just old. Older.
Hey, God, booze.
My mom's is 66.
That's older.
Actually, they have a confirmed fatality age 40 now.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Well, but kill you. Now you're in the boat.
40 and up is the target.
All right, well, we sitting pretty over here, baby. On this side of the room. Oh, God.
30 to no 20. I'm sorry, not still.
So I need to talk to you after the show,
bro.
250.
I need some chaga.
Consultations is $250.
Consultations.
For friends, it's $255.
So, Ida, with that, are you taking any special precautions with your son, or is that?
No, our lifestyle already is pretty, he's hydrated, he's getting his chlorophyll and his different herbs in every day. He's a very active child, so he's always, burning his energy and sweating and perspiring and releasing what needs to be released. Everything is moving in a natural cycle for him. So I'm not really that concerned. He's homeschooled, of course, but he does have activities out in the world. But we're not really, we're not looking at it in that way. Also, children, are allegedly not in the target, so that's another piece to that. Yeah, but no, to answer your question.
That was like the most eloquent, bossy ish I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, we do things different around here. That doesn't concern us.
The
Our
response.
vibrations are past 932.
I ain't saying all that, but
I would say Ida has pretty even kill energy 95% of the time in our interactions. And like when it's not, it's because I said something really fucking stupid. I mean, like those only times like she has ever given me any like energy at all, and it's like another person might have slapped the shit out of me. You know what I mean? But you're talking about you just brought up that your kid is homeschooled, and we and you've had conversations about this. I'm pretty sure Akil is going to try to homeschool his daughter.
Oh, no try.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, and I'm
There's
hoping
no
that
try.
you interject when she gets there, because I am afraid of what Akil's going to be teaching his daughter.
awesome.
First day.
2 Chainz is
Yeah,
Gotta be in there.
First day. This is how you spell 2 Chainz.
So I'm curious on the whole homeschooling thing, just because. So I have a really close friend of mine, and she blames being homeschooled for basically always getting sick as an adult, because she didn't have the exposure. Because, dude, my kids are in public schools, and they're a friggin' petri dish.
Right.
Like,
Right.
my kids are sick every other week with something.
Right.
But I look at it in the long run, it does help your immune system, because it teaches your body how to fight stuff off. And just with her perspective in mind, with stuff like this going on, how does that, or does it impact your decision about homeschooling?
Not at all, actually. Like I said, he's in extracurricular activities.
Gotcha.
We're doing karate after school or after the school hours and all
So
those
still getting
things.
that exposure.
He's still getting that. We go to the playground. We go to the museum. He was the kid that licked the basket when he was 3. So yeah, I don't see a.
It's like I know I ate a lot of dirt when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And drank out of the hose. It was
Same,
fine.
right. Yeah,
And
that was fine.
that's actually something that when I was talking to my youngest daughter's mom about homeschooling, I told her we have to make sure she stays in tons of activities so that she's exposed to other kids. I don't want her to be the little hermit kid that's just like in the house 12 hours a day.
And that's what she was
Yeah,
for the most. Like,
no.
you know, she went out for like music lessons
No.
maybe, or
Like,
you know,
we're-
more often than not, you know, the teacher came to the house and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So yeah.
I have a friend who homeschools, and she approaches it very similar to the way that Ada does. Like some days in the middle of the day at 9, 10 o'clock, she takes her son out to go do activities or stuff like that to keep him, you know, around other kids. So I'm gonna definitely approach it that way.
I want to say one other thing too about the around the other kids part, because when we think about kids in school, you know, we think about socialization, but really what's happening is single file, arms folded, don't pass a note, don't talk to the person next to you.
No
So children
free
in
will.
school aren't technically being socialized in a way that's actually, you know, harmonious with the way kids vibe with each other. So our kids aren't, they're not missing out on some major piece. You know what I mean? Because they're not in school. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I love that. School definitely does socialize you to engage in society in a certain way, to be a certain type of person, and it does take a lot of the freedom of who you will be or who you could be
Right.
away from you.
Yeah.
And that's another deep topic, because we were watching. We had sent a vid amongst each other to our group chat about how some of the schools have been structured over the years, and it definitely spoke to how, like, to some extent, you're socialized to be like a worker bee, and to only go so far. That Rockefeller thing, and
Not to some extent. Like,
that-
that's
Once
pretty much
workers,
the goal. Yeah.
not thinkers, just workers.
Just produce.
Turn your brains
like-
off.
turn your
Yeah,
brains
yeah.
off, and
It's
do
just certain skills as an adult you just never learn in school.
And it goes even further now, because a lot of the basics are taken out of school. So it's like you won't need to, but you never balance a checkbook. You won't even do home ec in a lot of classes. You don't learn to cook. So
They
it's
don't even
basically
have,
like
shop or anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
floored me
No.
when I heard that.
Yeah.
But
there's no band in schools in Detroit. It's nothing. It's the
They
artists.
take band out.
There's no bands in school. Like
Bands
they took the
in
musical
school.
instruments
What?
out of school.
Stop playing.
They did
but
Stop playing.
no funding.
What they do at the games?
Clap.
Are you serious right
stop
now?
your feet.
Well, I know they're definitely taking. A lot of schools don't have bands because they don't have the funding for it. So
Right.
they
Oh
took-
my god.
They took because musical instruments do cost money to, and you know.
Why don't they just use the same instruments from the last?
They
year?
do, but you break them. I mean, on top of that too, when I was in high school, I was always in band and played all these. So like,
Were you good?
I was the shit, first chair, baby. Not Justin Mercer. I was all right, second chair. All right, but you know, like we had instruments. Our tubas were from like the 1970s. Imagine how much a tuba gets dinged up over the course of 30 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, unless you're like refurbishing these every so often, you know, like mold and all this other stuff builds up in it, all types of spit going inside these instruments. This is way off topic, but I did have something I wanted to bring up, because with homeschooling, me and you had a conversation. And this one of the few times where Ida got fiery with me. Where I was like,
What you knock on?
I was like, you know, like, what do you do? You know, and like I was really underestimating how much work it would take to homeschool a child.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought about it afterwards, because Akil knows this. I compare children to my puppy, because that's where I'm at with it. All right, God forgive me. Puppies are people too. So
Actually, no. But okay.
they're not. They're not.
Yeah, no.
Actually,
Because I'm at this new phase with my dog where I was like,
beings.
sentient beings.
That's
Keep
it.
it
That's it.
copacetic.
man, my dog is was a being that comes from hell.
oh man.
But I was like, man, why is he tearing up my yard? Because like the house I bought had a beautiful yard. The lady who lived there had like an Asian theme to it. It was fly, and now it's like it's devastated. It looks like Hiroshima hit it. You know what I mean? Like it was a part of Hiroshima. And I realized, like, you know what? I got to go outside with my dog every time and like monitor his behavior. Otherwise, he will do as he wants to do. And I have to also watch when he does this. And I have to actually do these things over here, because otherwise your dog will do whatever he wants to do. And that's like, I'm doing this over time. I'm like, man, it must be a lot to raise a child. I swear to God. I'm just saying, like, you think about how much more complex it is. And like, it's like, this got to be a lot to raise a kid.
I'm glad you came to that conclusion.
I mean, like, we all,
Playing with your puppy.
3 puppies.
He's been
Yeah.
growing
hey, we all
spiritually.
get our own way, brother.
Spiritual
Be
growth.
easy.
I know, right?
Easy, calm down. But how much work is it to homeschool a kid, and why did you choose that path?
I think we touched on some of the reasons why we chose that path, but in terms of difficulty, I mean, it requires a lot of your attention, and it definitely tests your patience and requires patience, But I mean, we have kind of a free range kind of flow, so we do some written stuff because I want them to, recognize words because I want him to be in the books,
Yeah.
and that's really important. And then he can kind of guide his own path, and I can follow his lead, as we go further. So that's really important right now. But I mean, it's a lot of visiting spaces, museums, talking about art, talking about Buddha, talking about world religion, talking about belief systems, and a lot of things that you don't get in school because that's why we chose this path anyway, So it's a lot of, and then re-guiding when he's kind of like, I'm frazzling out, which is the part that requires patience. So it's a lot of hands-on all day, sun up to sundown to sun up to sun, Yeah. But it's amazing, and he's amazing, and I actually really like him, so it works out.
I like that you said that in the future you're going to follow his lead.
Yeah, definitely.
How does that work, or what's the thought process behind following your kid's lead?
I mean, I think we like to think of our children as this extension of ourselves, which in some way, in part, is true, but really they came here to fulfill their own path, and they have a mission and a calling that, we really need to be behind. And so, even when we chose karate for him, I felt something that said this child, will thrive. This is what he needs. And when I put him in karate, it was just like, it was alignment, complete alignment. I mean, he loves karate. We have him in basketball, and he's at basketball practice talking about karate, So, I mean, that kind of thing I think is important with everything going forward, especially as he develops more understanding of just like basic things and is able to apply that understanding into his life, I'm like, I trust you that you know who you are and why you're here. So that's it.
That's dope, man.
Didn't he just get a belt?
Yes, he did. And man, he is thrilled. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Young
Yeah,
Jedi.
congratulations, Ali.
Go ahead.
I know, right? I had nothing. I got stuck in that phase where everybody's about to say something, and we just looked at each other like,
Yo,
don't.
I had something to say, and then he said something. But so we went out to lunch recently, and I think it's dope because your child is really knowledgeable on food already. And Ada, it was so funny to me. She was like, don't get no water now. You got to finish this meal first. I'm like, damn, so structured. My mom was just like, eat it all and walk away. Eat the bones too. But I'm choking. How do you structure his diet? And I know you are very, in tune with what you eat and what you feed your child. What's the thought process behind that? And I guess, that's what I was going to say too, is like in Detroit, how do you think raising your child in Detroit, how impacts raising your child here? Is it a plus? I know you got family here, of course, so that's definitely a positive thing, but it's definitely a lot of negative stereotypes associated with Detroit, schools, everything, you know what I mean? And how do you kind of like combat those stereotypes, or how do you view a lot of those things that kind of go into like raising your child?
I mean, when you talk about stereotypes, you mean like what, crime or something like
Definitely
that?
crime. And definitely like Detroit just lacking in a lot of different areas, you know what I mean?
Okay.
We've spoken to it before on the show, but I was just curious, like as a person raising a kid inside Detroit who's very in tune with what their child needs, how do you feel raising your kid here? How do you feel like it's impacted raising your kid in Detroit?
Apart from the schools, which was like this whole structural thing that happened by intention and in this plan, aside from that, I don't really feel any sense of lack, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm lacking sunlight for sure, 6 months out of the year. But beyond that, being from Detroit, growing up here, and always feeling love when I'm outside the house, in the community with the people, moving around. I mean, I don't sense those stereotypes, and I do my best not to pass those stereotypes on, or that knowledge of those or sense of those stereotypes on to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We find our fruits and vegetables with ease. You know what I'm saying? You might have to hit a few spots, but you can do that. And it's not really. We don't really operate like, oh man, if only I was on an island in Hawaii or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, Detroit is love. Detroit is it's love. Yeah, and the more love we give Detroit, the more love we get back. So
That's just a fly way to approach life. Like gratitude. That's such a underappreciated part of just being, bro. Like being appreciative of being here and experience this experience. Like we were talking the other day, and Asa was like, I'm like downplaying the coronavirus, and it's like, you cough in my mouth right now. I don't care. Like, what? This is
I'm pretty sure I done done it. Pretty sure I didn't say that.
It's too late now.
Anybody listening?
I said that. I said that. It was
We're
on air.
precursor to that conversation.
It was on
Okay,
air.
okay.
You guys are slow.
It sound like
It was on air.
sound like you guys.
I said it. What is wrong with you?
I
two?
just want to be clear.
Me and Asa were hanging out one night.
Anyways, I was like, yeah, this is just a suit. My body's just a suit. My soul is the real thing. And he's like, yeah, but it ain't gonna never be another Akil. And you know what I'm saying? That's more where I was going. Y'all are so stupid. Now that I sit here and look at both of you guys.
Can you not attack us verbally?
God.
Thank you very much.
He would prefer any attacks to be physical.
Yeah. not against us.
I said I would love to see that.
No, thank you.
Watch some of that live.
Chop your tall ass down the sides.
I want to attack you with hugs.
Yeah, as you talked about coughing in his mouth earlier, it all comes
It's
together
not,
now.
yeah, that's not.
And I just seen Ip Man 4 last night, boy. This is not the day.
it's out.
What? Stop playing.
I
Come
thought it
on,
was
man.
IT,
How about
man.
that? What?
Yep, you're an idiot.
Thank you.
The code is-
I guess we'll have a
This was
period
the
after the
coldest
I
one.
and the T.
Bruce Lee in there.
Oh,
It's called.
They
It's
not
called the.
playing no game.
Okay.
Wait.
Yes.
Y'all totally miss Booze being a
let's-
moron over here.
Yeah,
Next topic.
we did.
Next subject.
I thought you guys said it man. Ip man. IP.
IP
bro.
man. IP. I thought it was IP man.
Mr. Ip.
IP man. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with
One of Bruce
Kung Fu-
Lee's instructors.
Yeah.
Kung Fu flicks like that.
It-
I know what the
Cold,
series.
not a-
amazing. Yeah.
Chinese
Is
kung
it
fu.
subtitles?
Yeah,
this one,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not big on subtitles.
But
I don't
it's a
like
lot
to
of
read.
English. That's
Go ahead
only
and do
it's
it.
just-
they got English
Yeah.
speaking portions, and then they have some portions where they just
Oh, okay,
over
so
in
it's both.
Asia,
It's
and they
both.
yeah, for sure.
You got to go to the bathroom.
No.
Oh, okay, you just done with the headphones.
Yeah.
She just don't want your E ELF.
I ain't messing with my hair, bro.
Oh
They
yeah.
were,
low
they were slipping
frequencies.
down. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Messing up the fly hair.
For me and Akil, we don't care anything about your hair, and that's hate. All right.
Speak for yourself. I'm trying to cut some of her hair off
Now, listen,
and grow it.
Hey,
And
I've
in
been-
about 6 months, y'all gonna see me cover this boy.
Cha-cha-cha-cha.
Back like, hey, Kill, you look so different.
With
Looking crazy.
having the freaking headband on like the LeBron James.
Yeah. To keep it in place.
Keep it in
Hat
place.
off. Hats off.
Bro.
This is real quick. How do you feel about men with toupees, like LeBron James wearing a toupee?
I forgot he had a toupee.
How do you feel about that?
LeBron James got a toupee?
LeBron,
Yeah, it
Yo,
slipped
bro.
off during the game once,
Yeah.
and that's
No.
how
His
Yeah.
team,
No.
like Anthony Davis, was like,
his shit was like this.
like, bro.
His shit was like this one day.
That's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
now I'm pulling it.
It is.
and LeBron looked so embarrassed. He was like, oh no.
Hold on, just
How do you-
LeBron James
What are your
toupee?
thoughts on that? Because
LeBron James hairpiece. Look that up.
Sorry, Brian.
I've actually been at like people like you. So you getting that toupee? And I was like, you know what?
No, I'm straight.
Well, actually, I was like, you know what? How much to make it look really good and natural?
But this is the thing.
How much to get that Steve Harvey?
Booze. But hey, Steve Harvey's did not look
I was gonna say,
natural.
you said real and natural.
Yeah.
Shoe polish. on
His
the
looked like a
sides.
microphone.
It is.
Yeah.
Hold
His
on.
looked like this joint right
you
here.
didn't know until like 2015.
I knew when I was watching, like, his hair is just too
Yeah, that
perfect,
was-
bro.
I've seen
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It's too perfect.
So
Yeah.
But this is the thing, though.
It's like alopecia. You know?
You've been bald and fly for a long time. So if you just bust up in June
right,
with the
full-
coldest hairline
full, yeah.
possible,
I'm coming in.
everybody is
I'm
gonna be
coming in
like,
with the eye. I'm gonna have like a ponytail. It's gonna be ridiculous.
everybody's gonna be like, yeah, I don't want to know Booze anymore. I'm cool on him. I don't want to be a
So
friend.
so it's like that in society. So men cannot wear hair pieces. But
They can.
LeBron James is still the king, is he
dang,
not?
bro? It always, for sure. You don't
Right?
take it
Yeah.
away.
So
Yeah.
LeBron James, shout out to you. I wish I had that damn bell because you are breaking down barriers, wearing that damn wig. Thank you, LeBron, for wearing wigs for men across. Wow, don't kill yourself.
No, LeBron the GOAT for sure.
So how do you don't approve?
Shout out to Kobe.
It's not that I don't approve. First, I mean, not to be too serious with it, but I really think that we need to, in society, adjust this need for people to live up to these standards that, like, bodily they are not able to live up to. And then we need to address, like, why are we losing hair? And what can we do about that? I mean, internally.
That is a thing, too.
Instead of being so cosmetic with it, like.
I look like in the 70s.
Right.
And, like, 80-year-old men had strong hairlines. And I be thinking, like, what is the difference in the world we live in to where, like, so many men are thinning or balding, and, like, 30 years ago, it didn't feel like this was the normal thing. Like,
stress.
I was about to say, thank you. Yes,
and
absolutely.
And I definitely
Shout out to Gucci.
attributed my hair loss to stress when I was 25, because I felt like that was the most stressful time of my life. I felt like I was, like, in college and poor, and, like, I felt like that's when my hair started thinning.
Your diet got something to do with that too, right?
For sure, yeah.
So pepperoni pizza is not good for hair growth?
I mean, hydrogenated oils, nah.
Okay. All right. Well, you live and you learn. You live and you learn. Wow. Didn't mean to go down the hairpiece path, but it comes up on a regular. Hey, man, what are you smiling at me for? For everybody listen, I will not have locks in a couple of weeks.
Booze. About to be looking like my man's off the 8 Mile.
Have they seen the pictures? They've seen the
Makai
pictures,
Pfeiffer?
right? You remember, have they seen the pictures of you?
Yeah, they seen me with
What?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
One of my favorite pictures ever.
Yeah.
Man. I think it's on my IG page if you ever want to see it.
All the way at the bottom, baby.
At the bottom, yeah.
The bottom, yeah, I know.
remember.
Go there like once a month.
I do too. It's like, man, that's what you used to look like with hair, huh? I've never seen a kill with hair.
It's on my Facebook page.
Shots.
I'm not taking shots. I'm just saying I've never seen.
So
Everybody.
But
Shots.
you are too much today. Oh my God.
what the hell are you trying to
I didn't
accomplish
get no.
right now?
I
You know what
didn't
this
get no
is?
rest last night,
And
bro.
on top of that, last time he was sick, and like so he had like 4 words between 2 episodes, which was actually nice.
Oh.
I had to balance it out. My chlorophyll things is on the floor.
So what's
It
your
was smelling like chicken
Oh,
grease and all
man.
types. And I
Oh.
had just had some oregano. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Oh.
it's like so what's your astrology tip for the day? Pisces fish.
Low below. I actually bought a book, one of my favorite books, to read an excerpt today.
Gang.
You might know this book. You can probably guess it.
Is it Yogi?
Nope, it's the Zodiac and the Cell Cells of
Oh
Salvation.
yes.
Why
Okay. Yeah.
Why do you think Otto was the only one that knew about that?
I
I'm
was
saying
waiting
she
for you to
could've
ask me.
guessed it.
Astrology segue.
I'm saying she could have guessed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Otto
I didn't
is
catch the
fly.
segue, but yeah, that's the book right there.
I'm just
I
saying.
read my brother.
You
What you
could
know?
you could
Right.
guess the book out of all the books in my bag. I'm just saying.
I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, come on, man.
So you wanted to go into astrology because I was going to ask about sage smoke.
I think Akil was just being funny.
You-
I want to know
it's all
about
on you.
sage smoke.
It's your episode.
I mean, he brought a.
all right,
got
so
the
let's,
book
That's
on the
for the
table.
end. That's for the end of the show.
all right, so we'll
Let's
how
touch
about
upon sage smoke, man.
And we'll-
I'm very interested in what sage smoke is.
and why isn't there a male portion to the sage smoke?
I mean, I would say, and I know that Solar Power Sundays is all inclusive, but I feel like that masculine energy is definitely, with the sun, Solar Power Sundays, and ours is always on Sunday from anywhere noon to 4. So you can always get that feminine in the morning and get that duality in the afternoon.
yang.
You know what I'm saying?
right.
Yeah.
All right.
What sound is that, bro? What's that? You sound sick over there. You good? What's that?
It is that sound. Hey, stop!
You got the-
It's making me nauseous.
That's my like woo.
Yeah, you got to explain yourself.
Well, you could have
but-
did that because that made more sense.
But
So, explain sage smoke for us. Where did you get the idea from?
I mean, Sage Smoke was definitely inspired by, Dr. Kiefer used to have the holistic fair, and that really was impactful for me and for us being there, and seeing what can happen when you bring all these people together in a city, and it's all about holistic wellness, internally, externally, cosmically, all of these things. And so bringing that to the people was very important to continue that work, and so that was a big inspiration. And not seeing that so much at the time. It started in 2015, so not seeing it so much with people my age and younger. I saw a lot of the elders, like, having gatherings that were about, sacred womanhood and that kind of thing. But I really wanted to see it more and pass that on with the younger people. So that's really where it came from.
That's dope. So you in part to bring younger people into the fold of what you were thinking, or just your knowledge. And I always see that it looks like it's kind of broken up into different sections or different pieces, or is it? Describe how the overall kind of overview of it.
Yep. So it's once a month during the warmer season, usually from like May to September or October, and it's basically we will invite a lecturer or somebody to do a workshop because we really want to be like a library to each other, and so somebody might be teaching on. Altar workshop, working with your ancestors or working with herbs. We had Lottie Spady come through, and she taught us about using herbs like out in the yard, to heal your body and make dinner, and so things of that nature, making sure that we have these skills to pass on to the children and their children and so on. And so just really activating everybody as healers and as teachers in the community.
I'm so proud of you.
That is so dope.
So
dope,
Good Lord.
Man.
Likewise, man. Come
You
on.
guys don't know it very well.
I'm sitting next to her for the people who just can't see.
Booze, you so
Just
whack.
for the record, just to show
I'm
off
just
real
saying,
quick.
we
She
go
rubbing off, she oozing off on me.
Booze, to his point, is one of the best friends you can have. He flex on his friends. Like, I done heard so many, man, Otta's so dope. Don't you wish you could hang out with Otta? Huh? Like I do? I'm going to lunch with Otta and Ali tonight.
Ali, who you
Shut
like
up.
the most?
I know, right? Yeah.
Like, dog,
Wrong with
really?
you, bro. He's going to say you, Booze. You bought him
Period.
toys. Shut up. Jesus.
No, you the truth, bro, for sure.
Yeah,
Kids are
Booze
easy.
Booze is a fly on some real stuff. I guess it's like an early appreciation.
Oh, man,
He's a
appreciate that.
very dope friend.
Appreciate
Yes.
that.
Very dope
Absolutely.
Sometimes coworkers be like, leadership. I'm like, I'll beat your ass.
friend. Bro, what?
Stop talking
Listen.
about my dog.
Bro. I'd be like, I've made an announcement like, if you have something negative to say about Booze, just don't say it around me. Like that, we'll just keep it like that. If you want to vent because he popped your head off for something you did
Yeah.
wrong, just like tuck it in your back pocket around me because I'm a light you up.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
man.
a
Catch me
no-fly
outside.
That's a no-fly zone.
I don't want you to fight anybody outside, but I love you for it though. No, I'm just saying because I don't want you to have to hurt anybody, man. I will keep putting them lethal weapons away.
Yeah.
And back to Adora because this is her time, but I do love y'all and thank y'all for the appreciation.
Definitely.
Yeah, Sage Smoke is definitely fly, and like I had never actually spoke to you about it. I didn't think about that until like today, or as we kind of were talking through, and she was like, "What is Sage Smoke?" And I was like, "Shit, I don't know, ladies outside." And one piece that I kind of wanted to speak to was I was in Canada and this lady, and I was doing this black tour, this Black Canadian history tour, and one of the subjects that the lady spoke to, that the professor actually spoke to, was blacks reconnecting with nature. And when I looked at Sage Smoke, it was like it had that vibe that like you guys are outdoors in the sun, in the grass. And was it intentional to have like that nature piece be a part of Sage Smoke, and why did you kind of like intentionally go that route?
Definitely. I mean, I think, and this kind of makes me think of the coronavirus and the sense that we've become so separated from nature that we're almost like nature's enemy when we are nature. You know what I
Dang.
mean? And so really it's like, yeah, we live in this concrete world and there's like, paved sidewalks and whatnot, but there's a field of dandelions in the yard that grow every spring. And some people have dandelions and some people don't because maybe your body needs dandelions and your neighbor needs red clover. You know what I mean? And so it's really just getting back out into the grass and connecting to the earth and like moving some of this 5G out of your body and, things of that nature. And so, yeah, it was definitely intentional to just remember that there's no difference. There's no separation from us and the trees and the birds. And there's a harmony there, and just trying to rebuild that connection.
I love that. And I love I love the thought process with the dandelions. A friend of our CJ put that the coronavirus might be like the earth metaphysically cleaning itself, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was super dope. And when thinking about like the people connected with nature, it's like that field of dandelions inside the suburbs is getting sprayed with Raid or whatever to kill it, you know what I mean? And it's just weird because like if nature don't operate the way that we feel it's supposed to, we actually go against it and we do everything to
Like subdue it. Yeah, reconstruct it. Yeah.
reconstruct it,
Okay. Yeah.
But that's very dope, and hopefully Asa creates the male version of Sage Smoke. What you gonna call it, Asa?
What?
Palo Santo. I don't know. It ain't no comparing it, man. That's,
But
like,
that's
that's one of a kind. It's like a unicorn event, bro.
That is like a
Period.
unicorn, and it's funny because like a lot of the ladies who go there, I'm like, man, this is like a gathering of the fly ladies of Detroit.
Yep.
You know, all coming together. Do you have the Sage Smokes T-shirts available, or can those be copped anytime?
They can be copped, throughout the summer season. So I always print those off like during the spring and summer. You can grab them at an event. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh, so they're exclusive.
It's kind of like come through, grab a shirt.
Oh.
I always have vendors because it's really about creating a platform for all the people who produce things and are healers in the city to, create a space for themselves to promote what they do.
That's hella fly. All right, and to flip it to astrology, is there any astrology that's connected with your Sage Smoke classes?
That is a piece. We have when we have different people come out, we'll have an instructor on that covers different modalities, and so astrology is one for sure. Yeah.
What is your thought process? Because we talk about astrology a lot on here because these two are really into it.
Do you not believe in astrology?
No, we've had this conversation.
Do you believe?
I'm starting to believe. I do believe that astrology itself is a very ancient concept. You know what I mean? And I think it was developed over thousands of years. To me, that says a lot of wisdom went into it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not like a thing that just happened. It's not like an app. You know what I mean? That has no place in your life. So, do I believe it? Yes, I believe it definitely has a lot of thought into it, and it's probably a lot of truth to it. It's just like we talked about on many occasions. It's also a lot of misinformation about it as well. So I think when you grow up with the misinformation, you got to kind of, especially me, I'm like, I need facts. I need a foundation to build off of. That's me. So when I'm going to a Chinese place and astrology is in my egg roll, and and then it also on the flip side has my lucky numbers. It's like, all right, I don't know if I believe this. I'm gonna play these numbers, and if I don't hit, astrology goes out the window.
If you have a piece of paper in your egg roll, you're in trouble, bro. So,
okay, you know what I meant.
Fortune cookies.
Yeah, and that's what he listens for. He listens for to take shots. He didn't
Me
hear
and
the whole concept.
Me and Dave are like your cleanup crew.
Oh God, yeah, thank you.
Here's Boost. Yeah. In 1922, no, just don't do facts, bro, or read it straight out of the book.
Well, the egg roll and paper thing is not really. It's one of those things that I shouldn't have messed up on. What's your thought process on astrology? Obviously, I saw you pulled out the book. I've seen read this book a lot, which is weird.
It's one of my favorite books, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
And why?
Just because of what Akil is talking about, because of the facts. It uses etymology to show you like the substantial origin of things. Versus nowadays, when you look up astrology, you hear about horoscopes, and like Dave was saying, a lot of the math is off. A lot of things are watered down. We just blast it out there and just take it on face value, like a lot of religious texts or whatever. But here, it takes you back historically to show you how those constellations, forget whatever, daily horoscope stuff you be hearing on the internet. It shows you how the constellations literally correspond with the systems in your body. Not so much the systems, it goes straight to the cell salts that make up the blood plasma. And then it shows you like the various science and consciousness that went into even naming things like the months and the symbols, et cetera, et cetera. But it's fire, man. Just for like understanding, because that's the best part. Once you get it, once you comprehend it, it's you could go from there.
Did you name the book already?
No, this is not my book.
Did you?
No, he said.
Yeah. Oh, for the listeners, this is called The Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation by the guy who did the work, the scientific studies and everything. His name is George Washington Carey. And then he had one of his apprentices, students. She kind of like expounded on his works and developed the book. Her name is Inez Eudora, not to be confused with Adora Perry. And this is just one of the most phenomenal books ever. If you're not a reader, hey, you might just need to just take 2 weeks out and get this bad boy in your brain cells. And
it's definitely one of your favorite books. I've seen you with that book for years.
This is like my 7th copy.
Yeah, I've seen you walking around with that book for years, bro.
Yeah, I've been passing them out. Look, I love you. Don't take this light. Have this book. Going to buy another one 30 days later. I've been going through them for sure.
So, Ida, we normally end with Asa giving some like astrology piece at the end. And I think it would be cool if you did that today, if you could. Speak to some astrology and maybe, I don't know. I'm about to just say some stuff. Spring equinox. I don't believe in it,
but I mean,
hey. But, you know, I think for a lot of our listeners, though, we got a diverse group of people who listen to us. Like, a lot of people really do appreciate that piece of the show. And for me, I'm open-minded and I'm ever-growing. So I'm not going to be the person who just jumps to the deep end of anything. I'm going to wade my way into the deep if I feel like I should go back there. You know what I mean? So
You
shut
fired
up.
for that, too.
Shut up.
I just said you fired.
Man. I completely understand where you come
Right
from
now.
with your skepticism
Yeah,
when
me
it comes
too.
to that.
Me too.
Because astrology, real quick, astrology nowadays is like meme type stuff you see on
Man,
Instagram.
right.
Pisces are.
There you
He's
go.
Right.
a
There you go.
Pisces.
Up.
Right.
And then
He's
and
a-
then you get people
She's
who
a
just
Libra.
randomly throughout the day feel like they know you because of your sign, and then you do something and they're like, oh, that's some Pisces shit
You
right
a
there.
Pisces, ain't
What?
you?
Yeah.
Right, like
You.
no, I'm
see?
actually a Libra. I knew it. You just said you said I was a Pisces though, remember? Yeah, but you got traits of a, and just kicking it what I'll say, it's so much that goes into like where the moon was when you was born,
Man.
where this was, you know what I'm saying? It's just so much that goes into why you are a unique Taurus sun sign. You know what I'm saying?
On everything I love last year, all right, whatever. At some point in time in my life, I was dating somebody. We stopped dating, right? And I know they found like the worst tourist meme they could find. Like, has a fat head. It's like it's not even real astrology stuff.
did you write this?
That's what I'm saying. And like it was like immediately after we stopped dating, this super negative tourist meme. But that's what you get what I'm saying. Like it's that type of stuff that makes me say this is complete bull.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it's complete bull. I believe it's more to it. I'm just not knowledgeable on it. So I was asking because you kick us off or kind of because we're about to wrap it up. Finish it
Wrap it up then.
like a burrito. Could you wrap it up for us with some astrology?
Can I wrap it with some astrology? Now, one of my beliefs is that I'm a student of astrology. There are hats that I wear, but that's not my hat.
That means she about to drop a bomb on y'all. She
Mm-hmm.
about
But
to
we
go
sitting
down.
next to the man who wears the hat, so I know he said he had a
Sometimes the
passage.
student
I'm a
got to teach.
student.
Sometimes the
I'm a
student has to
student
teach the
too.
teacher. So we want to hear from you. I want to hear whatever comes off the top of the dome. It's gonna be better than Ice of Freestyle, and I'll tell you that much.
We in Pisces season. Just think about that.
Not-
The season of the year.
I honestly don't. I don't know.
Dang,
Yeah, I
booze.
don't. You put me
Put
on the
her on
spot,
the-
bro.
Shit,
I don't.
bro.
I'm
Yeah, I
not ready.
did.
I'm not ready.
That's fine.
So quantum
Thanks a lot.
physics.
Thanks a
Quantum
lot.
physics. What are your thoughts? 10 seconds.
Okay. well,
Things move in space.
E equals. All right.
That was that episode. Remember, Dave? Remember, he was like, "Yeah, because we have 2 moons. It just came in yesterday."
Oh, yeah.
What you mean? Yeah.
We do have an asteroid orbiting us right now, which right, right? Is that?
Yeah, it's an asteroid. It's an asteroid that got pulled into an Earth orbit.
Wasn't that?
That's a Dave fact. So.
Wasn't that the last episode?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that was like 3 years ago now. All right. So you want to finish this off?
Hey, when people say 10 years ago, I still think they mean the 90s. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, big facts.
Yes.
That's so true.
Same.
All right. So, first and foremost, before we read this little excerpt from one of the most phenomenal signs, shout out to Akil, who just had his birthday yesterday.
Bong.
Just turned
Bong.
22,
Bong.
baby.
Still drunk a little.
Which we do not promote.
I don't.
All the young people listening.
I don't like
and the
alcohol at
elders.
all. But I did indulge. Thanks, guys.
It's all good. Those are called bad influences.
I
But
swear.
this is
never drink again.
I wish you guys. This is what Kill looks like today.
low blow. Shots fired for sure. But before we read this excerpt, I just want to give some gratitude from everybody in the studio to Miss Roddy Daddy. We like to party. Miss Adora Bandelli, thank you for coming out. Blessing the mic.
Thank you.
Yo, we need your Instagram.
Midnight Marada. That's Midnight MARADHA on Instagram.
Yo,
Hold on, wait.
Hold on.
Wait,
Rewind that.
Time out.
Rewind
Hold on. I'm not going to say this. I get to say this.
You don't get to
This
say
is
it.
my favorite. It's my
Time out. Time out. No,
Best.
shut it up. You get to spend all the time in the world with her.
But I want to.
At your leisure. Your leisure.
Yeah.
Your leisure. Leisure.
I want to say this piece.
Huh?
Because I know what you're going to say.
Listen, and shut
Should
it
I
up.
say it?
Relax
Okay.
yourself,
Listen.
girl. Don't be
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
I'm so
Okay.
lost right now.
Do you have room
this
for
is
other like really close friends? I just
You're
want to.
already in there, Kill.
Yeah, but-
Damn, man.
Yeah, just on the outside. Go ahead and say it, Phil.
How?
Because she's a poet and she knows it. Type shit.
Your Instagram handle is the greatest
Why-
hip hop
why-
album ever.
There we go. And he knows that. That's why we're friends, because he just said that line right there. Midnight Marauders is the best hip hop
Best
album of all time.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Ever.
And this is the one time I've seen
Hands
Asa
down.
look lost. Thank
Look
you.
at Asa's like,
Huh?
You didn't know?
But you know 2 Chain lyrics off the top of your head.
food
That's
chain.
awesome. That's awesome.
Well,
I said ghetto as hell. Hey.
But play some electric relaxation. I was like,
I'm going to sleep.
Meek Millie.
Wait. He would know
he
because
gonna be
he
like,
likes the
oh,
Wayans.
he gonna be like, this is that tune from the Wayans brothers. I like this.
He would know because he likes the Wayans
Yo,
brothers. Yep.
Jason. I met her at the deli. She was a weddie. That's the new stuff.
All right.
All right, so let's get to it.
Best album of all time. Midnight Marauders. Go for it.
All right, so thank you, Ryder, for coming out. Let's read this little mini Pisces excerpt real quick. To return to the analysis of the word March, we find that the word extremity is frequently used when speaking of the feet. The feet are the extremities. Pisces is the last sign, not to be confused with the least. I just added that just so Akil could feel good about himself. But Pisces is the last sign, the foundation of which the entire body rests. If the feet give no trouble, one can stand on them without causing them to feel tired. One can also travel far, indulging in long walks. Metaphysically, Pisces relates to understanding. We just said that. What a coinky dink. When the understanding is active, one can travel far mentally. In Pisces, we find the gauge by which all life is measured, the mental, moral, and physical standing or development. It is the mark or peg which indicates the stage or placement one has reached on his or her journey. The 3 decans of this sign represent respectively degeneration, which we see in my good brother, generation, and regeneration, which we see in Adora Bandelli.
Oh, okay, that was a shot at me. Oh, okay. I shook
Low
my head
blows.
like, wait, I know what
Shots
degeneration
fired.
means. That's not good.
All right, one more sentence. And very few are living the law necessary in the present phase of evolution. Spirits must return into physical bodies to work out salvation, which literally means to perfect the vehicle. Therefore, bodies must be supplied. So, yes,
Beautiful.
Akil is amazing, and Corona can do all of this, and yeah, you holy and divine and eternal. However, let's take care of the spacesuit, buddy.
Gang,
Let's
gang.
get busy, keeping this mug tight. Let's take these cars to the tune-up shop.
One of 2 things happened in your life. Either when you were in school, you read, or you were chosen to read out loud, and you like bombed, and you went home like, I'm gonna get this reading thing. I swear to God. Or you was the kid that was like, anybody want to read?
That was
Yeah.
You read that like it was like on your eyeballs. So you just had to,
Like,
I was enthusiastic because I
Jeez, bro.
personally think people be slipping on Pisces for sure. Yeah. Pisces the truth.
gang, gang.
all
But
right.
any last words from the world's most
Midnight
phenomenal?
Any businesses you want to shout out? Anything along those lines? Because we got like 200,000 followers already. It happened like last week.
Sage smoke.
nice. Well, of course, check out Sage Smoke in the summer. You can follow me on Facebook, Woodward Walker, Woodward like the street, WOODARD, WOODWARD, Walker, WALKER. And I will be posting. It's a private invitation, so once you follow me, let me know that you want to come to Sage Smoke, and I will send you the invitation. Aside from that, right now, no, there's, of course, check out Solar Power Sundays
Gang, gang.
down at the elevator building.
Book.
Any
Get that duality.
restaurants or anything?
Holla.
Anything real quick.
Like a pop-up or...
You don't have to either.
Yeah, I'm searching my brain for all the places that I love in the city that but could use, or I could offer that love to. Definitely check out the water station. They have wonderful pop-ups.
Yeah,
they got
they do.
like the best
Gang.
sea moss shakes on the planet
Gang,
up in
gang.
there. 18710 Woodward. We'll never forget that address. And yeah, that's it for me.
And we got a
Shout out.
pop-up coming up April 1st.
Yeah, we'll be popping up for Roy Ayers at the Willie Show.
Oh,
Nice. Yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
So I'm excited. That'll be some fun stuff.
Very dope.
All
Any
right.
any appreciations from you two guys before we get out of here?
Man, I just want to thank Adora for coming in here, blessing the mic with us, man, blessing us with this feminine energy. Not just any feminine energy, but if you pay attention, if you've been listening, she represents what is to come. Like we got I got thought friends and all types of women who and doing whatever. That's cool. Live your life. However, times is changing, pressure is here, and the universe is pushing us to become the best possible version of self. And she exemplifies what it is to be on that path, on that journey.
That's what I'm
just
talking
constantly
Major
shining,
facts.
shedding snakeskin, beaming, you know? And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That's the
Major
homie, for
facts.
sure.
It's so funny because like we got our next guest sitting here, Rafa, and like it's like, damn, okay, you gonna have to build up when we bring in Rafa behind
Man,
that.
he coming through with that Marcus Garvey,
say,
yeah.
Supreme.
Ooh.
You already, come on, bro. We got a whole,
Giant.
we got
Giant.
accolades for
His
days.
hat
real.
says "Make the hood healthy again." He
Yeah.
already
Come on,
he already coming heavy,
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
Y'all are in tune. I'd have got me a shirt for my birthday last year that said "Make the Hood Great Again." I feel like this was all divine intervention. Now. It's
Oh,
all
my
coming
God,
together.
bro.
Good God.
This is phenomenal.
Hey, bro. I thought it well. All right. Kill real fast before we get out of here.
I piggyback Asa.
All right.
That's it.
That's it for
Ada
me.
is super fly. The energy is always high through the roof every time I see her. And her hair, y'all don't understand. You have to see it up close.
Yeah.
It is insanely
Yeah.
beautiful hair. Strong, thick. I'm jealous. I'm cutting some. I'm gonna make a small
I'm
Ada.
dash out of here real quick.
Give you a hug like, hey.
right.
Make it downstairs and find that ball patch. Where did he get this?
Brian, Dave, lock the door.
All right, so that'll be it for this episode of the High Vibe, guys. We appreciate you guys listening and tune in for the next episode. Thank you, Ada, for stopping by, and we are out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.